And hello everyone and welcome to Lyon College football. It is the pregame show, the Casey Creehan pregame show. And when I first saw the coach today, I shook his hand and congratulated him on a big win. And it's always nice to be perfect, even however long it lasts, Coach.
Yeah, well, yes, it's nice to win the first one. And, it was a great win for our guys. And they worked hard and they played hard, and I was glad to see them come out victorious. And but in the football business, it's just one game, and it's like I tell the guys, when it's over, you enjoy it for 24 hours, and then win or lose, you sign your name to it and send it out to the rest of the league for everyone to see. So, we enjoyed it for 24, but now it's time to move on.
And you got another big game coming up this week. You'll also be on the road again. But before we talk about that, Big Daddy Randy Allen gave me one guy's name, Red Scott.
Yeah, well, Red,
he kind of gave you a shot in the arm.
Well, he sure did, and he's a electric player. I mean, he can really go. And it was a situation in the game where it was a defensive struggle there for a while when we were ahead 3-0, and then they hit a pass on us and went ahead 7-3, and there was about, I think, less than a second left on the clock, and they had to kick off, and he took the kickoff and returned it for a touchdown. And all the momentum that Mobab had at that point probably swung back in our favor.
Yes.
So it was definitely a key play or a pivotal play in the game.
And I think you would have to say that all in all, when you look at all aspects of the game, that your defense had a pretty good ball game.
They did. I thought both sides, all three phases, really did some really good things. But all three phases, we have a lot of room to grow too, including defensively. So I was proud of their effort. I thought we were the better conditioned team, or at least we were on that particular day. Mm-hmm. And I think that enabled us to have some success in the fourth quarter. So hats off to the guys and their work ethic and, the way they were able to grind it out.
Did your kicking game go okay?
It did, yes and no. We did have a extra point blocked in return for a 2-point conversion. Mm-hmm. So there was some issues there. We weren't great in the kicking department. We had that extra point blocked. We missed a close field goal. I didn't like our operation on our field goal. I thought we were slow getting in and out and getting the ball snapped, and our approach, snapper to holder to kicker, wasn't fast enough. And so, like things on offense and things on defense, we have things we have to get better at, this week in practice.
You bet. Casey Creehan pregame show, Lyon College football. We're on the road, folks, at Conway, Arkansas, and we'll be taking on Hendrix College. The game brought to you by McDonald's, the pregame show in Batesville. Oh, you got to go and see their new. Everything's new at McDonald's now. You just walk right in, they got all that fancy stuff. Punch it all up, select what you want, stick your card in. It's a done deal at McDonald's. We'll be back. 2 and 2. Back to the Casey Creehan pregame show, Lyon College football taking on Hendrix College, brought to you by McDonald's in Batesville. Coach, Hendrix College has been around a long time. They play some pretty good. They have a pretty good league they play in.
They do, and they're a well-coached football team. And the last couple of years, the score's gotten out of hand for Lyon there. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough opponent, and we are definitely up for a steep challenge. They're a well-coached team, and they have some talented players.
Mm-hmm. When you're on the road, do you have as many players suited out as you do when you're home, or how do you work that?
Probably not. It's we're able to dress more at home than we would on the road. Yeah, definitely.
But as far as your depth goes, do you like to keep it to 2 deep, 3 deep? How does the numbers work for you?
Well, once we know how many guys we can take from a budgetary standpoint, we basically, it's real simple with us as coaches. We're going to take the guys that we trust to do the right things. Mm-hmm. And the guys that we trust are the guys who are going to be on the field. And that's not always the best athlete every time. So, it's you have to be able to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it and do it right and do it every time. So That's kind of what we look for when we go through the process of making out the travel roster.
It's kind of a game of repetition, isn't it?
It is, and every student athlete is different with the way they learn. Some people learn better through repetition. Some people learn better on the chalkboard. Some people, I've seen people, coaches move G.I. Joe chips around and try and teach guys that way. So the learning process is different for everyone, and you got to try and tailor your teaching and try and find different ways to reach each guy.
I knew when it comes to repetition, I heard a coach say one day, he said, we do all this repetition not so you can do things right, but so you won't do anything wrong. And I guess to a certain extent, it just becomes second nature.
It does, but there's always going to be human error in this game.
That's right.
Because these guys are moving at top speeds, and when we're sitting in here in the air condition, it's easy to decide what the right thing to do is.
Right.
But when you have to make a split second decision out there when the bullets are flying, that's where it gets challenging. And again, you want to play the guys who make the most correct decisions under fire.
Right. Casey Creehan Show. It is Lyon College football. We are in Conway, Arkansas for a big game this evening against Hendrix College. When we get back, we'll talk to Coach about how the week went, and oftentimes you hear a lot of coaches say, or people say, that the most progress a lot of times is made between the first week and the second. We'll ask him about that and more when we're back 2 and 2. As I mentioned, they often say you make a lot of progress between the first and second week, and I would think that you would probably agree with that.
Yeah, that's kind of the. I don't know if it's a wise tale or if it's actually true, but
Right.
Definitely after the first game, you get your first real opportunity to go against live bullets, and so that you should make a lot of strides in between week 1 and week 2. Now, is it going to be good enough to win the second game? We'll see. That's why you got to line up and play. But
Right.
It's funny you bring that up because in my post-game discussion with the team, I did mention that we're going to enjoy this one for 24, but then we got to get back to work because your biggest progress typically happens between the first 2 games.
Yes. Relatively injury-free, more or less?
Yeah, you're always going to have your bumps and your bruises and your nicks, and when you do, it's next man up. I mean, it's part of the game. There's nothing you can do about it. So, you just have to you have to get the next guy ready, and you might have to figure out some things different that the next guy does better than the first guy you had in there. So, you have some of that all throughout the football season, and it's just part of the game.
Right. Offensively, I would think you'd want a little better output from your team first week to the second week, and that's probably your expectation, starting with a quarterback, of course.
Yeah, well, the number one thing for an offense is to not turn the ball over, and there's one statistic in football other than the final score that I pay any attention to, and that's the turnover battle.
Right.
If you look at turnover statistics, they will correlate almost to a T on who's going to finish higher in the standings. The best turnover ratios usually finish the highest, and the worst finish the lowest, and that's pretty much true in any league anywhere. So. That's the biggest thing is we did have a couple giveaways, one down in the red zone, which you can't have, but first and foremost, we got to take care of the football and we got to protect our quarterback.
I would think most games, if you could go mistake-free, which is very, 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 very hard to do, but you'd be right on the verge of a big win.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
Coach, always good to talk with you. Good luck at Conway taking on Hendrix College, and looking forward to seeing you again when we can greet you with, way to go, you're still undefeated, maybe. We'll see how it goes. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys and all you do.